Bare kommer på. Det blæst tør.
Wait till 11.
Ja. Keep going, guys. Keep going. Need to play squat. Don't worry about the score. Sit. Nice.
It seems to be
Thank you.
Det er godt. Fordi jeg skyder en dårlig sæv, og så tager man den i volley, og så ved man ikke, om den er dårlig sæv. Nej, og jeg laver en dårlig sæv, og så siger jeg lige det første 3 måneder efter. Og det bliver så irriteret, så jeg får 11 timer søvn, så jeg i stedet for så er jeg
Unger, hvis I har...
I'm not sleep last night.
Hvis I har...
You never enough sleep. Tell him how much sleep.
No wonder you're frustrated then.
How much sleep do you
I
have?
got 11 hours of sleep, not enough.
You said you normally sleep 16 hours.
So.
16?
Normally on a Saturday you said you sleep 16. True, right?
I saw it from like yesterday.
And then only 2 or 3 hours a week. Nå, unger, hvis jeg er sikker på, at hvis I har nogle spørgsmål, så vil de gerne svare. I'm sure if they have some questions.
No, if you don't, it's fine.
How did you train to do the triple round ball?
Yeah, good question.
I want to know that as well.
Train for it.
No, not really. No, it's just I guess it's like years of playing, and I think the way I trained was quite sort of free. I mean, we did routines and stuff, but with my daddy, Malcolm, I was doing like lots of threes and things, and it just it was quite good for experimentation and improvisation. So because you have a little bit more time in a three, which I always liked, because you know really try and you have a bit more time to think as well about what you're doing. I think it just maybe came from that. Just over the years, I just did trick shots, and he was always great because he would encourage me to do that. He would never say, "Stop doing that," or anything. So that was good coaching. And then yeah, I just sort of I mean, I guess you sort of practice things, but it wasn't sort of premeditated or anything. But ever since, I've sort of become part of my daily routine.
Wake up, coffee, triple break.
That's it.
Yeah.
What do you do before match?
What do I do for a match? Warm up. One, if anyone doesn't warm up. I quite like taking a minute or two to not meditate, but sit down, shut my eyes and think about the match and the tactics that I want to use for that particular match. I always used to try and do that so that I was clear in my thought about what I was trying to do. So if I had an opponent that was particularly good at something, I would remind myself to maybe try and keep it away from that area. If they had a really good forehand drop or something like that, I'd remind myself before I went on that, to try and keep it out of that area, and then remember to try and focus on what tactics that I wanted to use and concentrate on what I was good at as well. I think that's always important. If you can do that, just remind yourself what you're good at. Don't necessarily worry if you're playing someone better than you and you think, oh, this guy's so good, this girl's so good, I don't think I can beat them. Think about what you're good at and then have a positive mindset and just take each point one at a time. Try and win each point. Don't worry about the whole game or the match. That's another good thing.
Yeah, not similar. Yeah, just have a little bit of obviously good warm up. I try and have a little bit of a plan, even if I don't. Sometimes I write it down on my phone or whatever, or sometimes not. But just as long as I have some thoughts, even if it's like Daryl says, 5 minutes before you go on. If you don't do that, I think sometimes you panic a bit because you haven't almost prepared. So even if it's just a few little things like what Daryl said, what could my opponent be very good at and what could I expect from them, and then it gives you a way of thinking how you can stop that, and then that's a good thing to do because when it does happen, you're ready for it.
What is the most punishing ball you have done? Like, what is the ball that you have done where you got punished the most?
The shot.
Like, what is a ball that you have done so many times that people like expect it and then you get punished on it very hard?
Okay.
The thing is, when you expect James's drop and you still can't get it, you don't really get punished by it. I get punished by it. He doesn't get punished by it.
Thank you, Daryl.
That's right. It's been 33 years of trying to get it, so I'm used to it. Do you mean a shot? So you mean a shot, one of our worst shots or loose shots that we think gives our opponent a chance to? For me, I think sometimes when I used to play some of the top players, I always felt like I never quite got my width well enough sometimes. So when I was going across the ball, I wouldn't get it wide enough, so I wouldn't hit the sidewall enough. And sometimes that would be because I just wasn't expecting my opponent, like take Matthew as an example, someone with really good reach and anticipation. You have to hit it that extra bit wider than you would normally, and adjusting to that in the sort of heat of the moment I found quite difficult when I got it wrong a few times, which meant that against real top players, if you leave the ball on their racket on the volley and you're behind them, it's really, you know, you put yourself in a lot of trouble. So if I was going back, I'd definitely work a little bit more on making sure my width was always good to make sure it really hit the sidewall, because that's such a dangerous area. Question.
Yeah, I'd say maybe like if when you're under a little bit of pressure in the counter drop, so you go in for the drop, and I felt like sometimes it would be a bit heavy, and if on a bad day or a bad game or whatever, it's just if it's not flowing as a shot, that was disappointing, and it would put me in trouble if you haven't got that good follow-up drop shot, counter drop we call it. So yeah.
What's the favourite place you've played?
Favourite tournament would be New York for the Tournament of Champions.
I would say my favourite place to play was Canary Wharf, which is in London, but I think the most memorable probably is playing in front of the pyramids in Egypt.
You played in front of the pyramids?
In Egypt, yeah. So they have a tournament. They had it a long time ago for quite many years, and they brought it back more recently. So they put a glass court effectively in the middle of the desert. I can show you some pictures after, but it's pretty spectacular. And then coming out of the court and then looking, and because obviously you play in the dark, and then the pyramids are lit up in the backdrop. I think that's pretty special, because it's so different to what a lot of other sports can do, and that's the beauty of squash, is that you can put a court pretty much anywhere. The other one that I don't think many people have seen was, we played a tournament in China, the China Open, which was in Shanghai, and they put the court on the balcony of the presidential suite. What hotel was it we used to stay in? Peninsula Hotel. And it overlooked the Bund, like central Shanghai. I mean, that was I still find that one pretty crazy as well, to have played there. Yeah. So yeah, some cool places.
What's the worst injury you guys have had?
Touch wood, nothing too bad, but I had a bulging disc for about a year, which is the bottom of your spine, like just the disc moved and then it pushes on your nerve, so it gives you quite a lot of nerve. It gave me a lot of nerve pain down my legs for like a year, and I couldn't get rid of it, but I finally managed to. So yeah, that was the worst one. I've had nothing else too bad yet, I'm sure. As I get older, something will just fall off. My leg will just fall off. Or something.
Ultra runner now, aren't you? So
yeah,
some injuries soon.
Yeah, I'm sure I will. Thanks.
I had hip surgery in 2014. So yeah, it was a bit worn away through all the impact, but they managed to do some good work on it, and it gave me some more time. So I did well. But I had to do, a lot of rehab and a lot of I still have to do my exercises all the time now, just to keep going. We were going to talk about, Erling, you were mentioning some things to talk about the kids too, weren't you? Yeah. One other thing I was thinking as well, how engaged are you guys in, do you all watch Squash TV, or some of you?
Yeah.
It just occurred to me then when you said you didn't know about the pyramids, so that's like a huge deal in squash. But that's not saying you should or anything, but just if you want to improve, keep watching Squash TV. If you're serious about the game, that is going to do you so much good. And we haven't mentioned it yet when we've been talking, so I don't know whether if the kids aren't aware of it, or it might be nice to have some. I don't know whether you can sessions with them, or just you don't have to. If you don't have an account, there's lots on YouTube that you can watch, and it's just a massive inspiration to to see the top players playing it. Obviously, when you watch anything, you're learning all the time. And just occurred to me we hadn't talked about that.
Yeah, actually, we were able to put it on the wall.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Just Definitely after you watch me and Daryl tonight as well, you'll want to go back and watch.
Hopefully, yeah.
Go and watch the best doing it on YouTube.
Good question, James. You're mentioning practicing threes.
Yeah.
What does that mean? I mean, what is?
Yeah. So, well, I mean, there's lots of routines you can do in threes.
So
We
just
didn't
be on
really
court.
do that many. Really, we didn't have. It's hard to have. We could endlessly go over routines, all day long. But
Yeah.
we've only got an hour. It's not that easy. But yeah, you could do lots of routines. We would often just play a game in a three though as well. So like people call it 1, 2, 3 or.
Okay.
It's
You're
just-
talking about
it's
having
just-
more time to improvise.
Yeah, so obviously because you've got two, you're playing in an order, so you have
Yeah.
your order, stick to that order, and you're just playing, taking it in turns to hit.
Okay.
It just gives you that. It still can be it still can be pretty hard. It's not like it's easy or anything, but it just gives you that extra bit of time in between rallies,
Yeah.
in between shots. And some players hate that; they just want it to be intense, but. That was good. I always found that really good because I could always take one aspect of the game and just concentrate on it. So it might be, okay, today I'm going to do threes, but I'm going to work on my length or hitting speed off the tee, or I could always take an aspect, and because you've got that extra time, it gives you you can just focus on it. So we use it a lot at Ponty, and we love it. And
So something you recommend?
yeah. I mean, it's just another thing to do, and then within that you can do all sorts of conditions. Like it's not you don't play any shot, but you can play the stuff that we were doing with Daryl there, above the lines, or straight only, or one player has to play straight only, one can play any shot. There's just loads of different stuff you can do with that.
Exactly.
What's most important, to hit hard or to hit accurate?
Accurate, I would say. Yeah.
That sucks.
You're comparing like players, so I think like in terms of hitting hard, someone like El Shabaghi, like Mohammed, plays fast, right, and hard, and can not necessarily perfectly accurately all the time, but the pace is so fast.
What I actually mean is,
Yeah.
what do you have to learn first to
Yeah.
hit accurate or to hit hard? And then do the other thing afterwards.
I think it's like in golf they say try and learn to hit it as far and hard as you can and then accurately after, right? But I think for squash I would teach the right technique first, which then would include accuracy, and then hitting harder after. Once you can hit accurately, then you can hit harder. That would be my opinion. Yeah, definitely. Because also if you're teaching junior players, like sometimes they will be beaten by kids that are either older or physically stronger and can hit the ball harder, but that you shouldn't lose sight of the longer term goal of them learning the game and learning the correct technique and learning how to play, because then when they get to the same physical capability, then theoretically the sort of sound, good technique, learning of the game should win or be more successful. I think I would guess James' answer is similar, but I don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree. Totally agree. Yeah, interesting to hear that about golf. Yeah.
So it means when you're practicing the alley,
Yeah.
then you have to stay within the alley. That's more important than hitting it hard.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's you can mix it as well. I just think if you I've said to a lot of you today, a lot of you're wanting to move to the tee and then play the drop, but then the drop wasn't that good. So why don't we get the drop right first? And once we've got that right, then we can start the movement. But if you can't play the drop first and you're still rushing around, that's my sort of thought on it. So it's, I think,
Yeah.
certainly at the beginning, just get that right, and then you can. It's like doing solo practice. That's static, and if you carried on doing solo practice all your life, you're not going to be a good match player. But it's just the first bit to improving a technique, isn't it, or an accuracy on the shot.
Yeah.
But then you have to move that on at some point. But have that first. You did that, didn't you, today? Do you remember when you slowed that shot down? And I looked at you and you smiled and yeah. So you obviously thought, yeah. That makes sense.
I remember.
It was a good shot. You forgot my question now, haven't you?
He was trying to ask as well.
How much do you use video reviews to improve your own game and when you play and go around?
As in watching
Watching your own
matches
games
back.
afterwards and to improve.
Yeah, I mean, in an ideal world, yeah, 100% it's really valuable to do that.
Yeah.
In the practical world, I hated watching myself play, so I never watched.
Okay. Were you forced to in the juniors?
No.
Older juniors, no?
No, well, we're that old that we didn't really have it. Yeah, no, my dad found a tape of me playing British Junior Open under 19s. Somewhere I said tape like a VHS. But no, I don't have any footage of younger. And then even when we first started on tour, yeah, I mean, luckily for us, Squash TV was just coming in then. But yeah, no, I haven't watched much back. But no, in an ideal world, I think absolutely you should. I watch my opponents sometimes just for like purely tactical basis.
Yeah. But is it common to use it, or is it rare? Or?
No, I think to you, like I think a lot of players use it now. There's a new cross-court analytics, so there's actually a couple of guys that are taking all the data from it. We as England Squash actually used it years and years ago. We actually had specific data analysts that would analyse the top players and give us stats on them. Which is quite funny that, yeah, I think maybe we were the only ones doing it, but the cross-court analytics now are starting to do it, which is great and helping quite a few of the pro players, but it's been around for 15, 20 years.
Yeah. I especially think about the positioning on the court, and it can be hard to be aware of when you play if it's good enough. And I think it's easy to see if you see yourself playing. Yeah. For example.
Yeah. It's hard to get perspective when you're on there yourself.
Yeah.
And that's why it's handy actually. That's why it's helpful having someone talking to you in between games. No matter who it is, really. I always found anyone to talk to, just because they can give you a different perspective. Because what you see from outside the court, sitting here, compared with how you feel and what you see on inside the court, can be completely different. So.
How many rackets has you broken?
Today or in
In your full squash life?
on purpose or by accident?
Accident and purpose.
Good question.
Yeah.
We have to be honest now.
I can be honest, no problem. Definitely, accidents definitely more, but purpose probably say 5 as a senior, and I can't remember, it was so long ago as a junior. Just a few more.
Too many.
No, not too many. I genuinely wasn't too bad. I wasn't perfect, but I wasn't too bad for breaking rackets. Because I did, if I'm honest, every time I broke one, I felt very guilty about doing it afterwards. So I learned my lesson pretty quick. There was one time I broke all of the rackets in my bag, which was 3 or 4 at the time, which was in Canada. Yeah, I had a bad loss. I didn't take it very well. But funnily enough, doing all the rackets in your bag then quickly makes you not do it again for a very long time. Because then you have to beg for rackets from a sponsor who's kindly given you rackets for nothing. So yeah, I felt bad about that for quite a long time. I don't know if James, have you ever broken a racket on purpose?
I'll try and take it off take it out on something else. I've made up for it, as you know. Yeah, it tends not to be rackets. I go and run off into woods and things like that. I'm really angry with myself. But yeah, no, I don't know how many. Yeah, I don't know how many we broke in total. 100 in your life?
Yeah. No, I don't know. I didn't break too many by accident either, to be honest. I wasn't a racket breaker.
Tough question.
Good question.
What did you do when you get frustrated, both in the game and after?
No, it's actually such a good question because it's so difficult because your heart rate's really high. You're playing someone in the same close space. You could be annoyed with the referee, you could be annoyed with something, and trying to keep all that emotion of trying to win under pressure together is really difficult. Like I found it one of the hardest things to keep composure. I think as you gain more experience, I think you learn what works for you the best, because everyone's different, everyone's their own personality, so what works for me in terms of calming me down might not work for you. So you have to find a way, especially in the match, find a way to keep calm and composed, because most of the time, most players I know, if they get angry in the match, no matter what happens, they play worse. There's very few players that get angry with everything and play better. It's really rare for that to happen. So, because by you getting angry, it means your chances of winning the match actually go down. You have to find a way just to accept. That was your nose, wasn't it? Accept, whatever that might be. If your opponent's been not very good or not very nice, you have to learn how to accept it, and you have to deal with it in the way that's best for you, in your own way. Whether that's slowing the ball down, hitting the ball softly for a bit, and then all the angry adrenaline goes. Just you have to try different things, and then afterwards, again, difficult. James's way is probably the best, if I'm honest. Just go and take yourself away, be by yourself for a bit. Don't take your rackets, don't break anything. Just go and be by yourself. Sometimes that's the best way. Yeah, it's really not easy.
Have you ever tried your opponent is commenting on your play or yourself, and how do you handle it?
I give it back normally. Yeah. Luckily in squash it didn't happen too often.
Okay. But does it improve your game? As you say?
No, it didn't always. But to be honest, normally my detrimental effect was normally with the referee. So if I chatted too much, I normally played worse. But with my opponent, that wasn't always the case, because I felt like, depending on what it was, but if it was something where they were talking, I felt like I could deal with that and also get in their head back as well. James is like the perfect one for it, right? He doesn't respond he just cracks on with. He had Nick Matthew in his ear for a decade. still managed to look relatively composed and calm, and he's the man to ask, I think. How did you do it?
Well, I think I wasn't allowed to as a kid. Malcolm was obviously, that was the first thing. He just would not allow, he was very strict. And he just wouldn't allow me to misbehave, or not just me, any of the players that he coached. It was very strict in terms of, not in terms of squash, but behaviour was the one thing he just wouldn't accept it, so he just got sent off. But so I had that sort of in me early on, but I still got it wrong. Like Daryl said, I had terrible matches, and mostly though I was quite composed. But when I look now, and now I'm coaching, I just think, God, he was so right. He was so right, because maybe his way of approaching it was a bit different and a bit strict and everything. But honestly, it must have won me so many games just trying to keep that composure. I mean, I'm like anyone else as well. I'm boiling inside, you know. So I think people just think it's my sort of, I'm innately calm, but I'm not. I'm very volatile, and I get upset with things like any player does. But I just learned ways of, moving on to the next rally. I learned pretty quickly, you know, when I read about psychology and things like that. It's just there's no point in getting upset with yourself because you've made an error or because the referee's made a bad decision, because all that does is you just go, or you argue with the referee, and then it's like it's all negativity. You take away your focus from the next rally. So what Malcolm was teaching was just so right, that he wasn't doing it from a sports psychologist, but it's what psychology is. You've got to stay focused and positive about the game. If you start hitting a backhand, dropping the tin, and then I'm rubbish, I'm useless, I can't do this, then you're going to keep being rubbish and useless. But if you quickly flip it and you keep your head high and your body language is high, move on to the next point, positive. And then the third thing was that immediately when you get frustrated and outwardly, you're showing it to your opponent. So I mean, I'm amazed that a lot of players, it's very difficult, as Daryl says. It's one of the hardest things to keep your emotions in, but you know, a lot of players do show their emotion to the opponent, and I think it's an area that maybe a lot of pros don't give a lot of attention to, but it does give a lift to your opponent if you start shouting and upset. And I think that helped me. All that helped me to realise it was good. Kept doing it.
And mental coaching, has that been a part of your training, or like having a mental coach?
I don't know what you did, but I spoke to psychologists and things. I didn't have loads of it, but I did have contact with a few. And you know, you read books, and I think we both read other sports people's books and you learn all that stuff. All that's really valuable. You know, just be open to things. It's not necessarily you don't have to go and see a sports psychologist every week, but just listen and take what you think works, and some of it's rubbish and some of it's good, probably.
Speaking of other sports, what other sports and sports could you do as part of your practice when you're younger? I think about the kids in front. What else did you do? Would you recommend it? Did it help you motivate? And practicing a lot, getting to the levels you guys got. We got a lot of practice. How did you keep motivated? How did you find that motivation to go on every day? Or what kind of diversity did you put into your practice to just keep on going?
I think it was important to play other sports as a kid. Otherwise, I think I would have got bored of just playing one sport, to be honest. I would have not ended up playing squash. I played football, played a lot of cricket as a kid. Loved both of those sports. Played more golf when I was playing on tour, because it was a good sort of side to squash, to be able to play another sport without really fear of getting injured, but also giving you fresh air and keeping body moving and stuff like that. That's at least what I told my wife anyway. There's lots of positives to it, but no, I think as a kid, I think for me personally, like learning to play as part of the team, like playing football and cricket as part of the team, I think that massively helped when I played squash as part of the team. Obviously it's an individual sport, but I think some of the best times I played squash in general was when I was playing as a team, when I was playing for other people, because if I'm honest, I played better for other people than I did for myself. So playing other sports, I would never have learned that had I not played other sports. So yeah, they were invaluable. I think the movement of football and squash was very similar for me at that age. Gave me a good foundation and base for growing up. I didn't do it, I didn't go and do loads of leg weights and stuff when I turned pro, because I was already strong enough from playing football, to be honest. So there's a lot of sports that sort of can help. Plus the enjoyment factor as a kid as well, like having that variation of playing different sports. I think it's important socially as well.
Same here. Definitely played a lot of other sports. And, one of the parents and the kids was asking me the other week about sort of specialising, and I just think, well, you know, if you want to play something seriously, do it, but don't stop doing other things. I mean, especially when you're young, so many benefits as well. Like you say, you're training anyway. Playing football, you're training different muscles. It's got to be good.
When you were in juniors, did you think about the diet you ate or what you ate? And do you think as juniors you should focus on it, or just doesn't matter?
No, it's really important now. I honestly, I probably didn't. Looking back when I was your age, I didn't really focus on it, but I was reliant on who was feeding me. Right, my parents luckily were fairly good in that sense, and giving me a lot of fruit and veg and making sure that was eaten. But no, I didn't. I was lucky. I didn't really didn't have a lot of junk food when I was a kid. I didn't have any real fizzy drinks because we didn't have them in the house. So I think for me they were two important things. Like as a kid, of course you need to go and enjoy yourself, and if you want to go and have fast food sometimes, like absolutely, it's not. It's just the doing it all the time is going to be the problem, right? Like having too much of one thing, sugary drinks and chocolate and stuff. Like having it every now and then is fine. You know, as long as I think the main thing is having fruit, veg, like proteins, carbs, like all those different things you need if you're playing sport a lot. You don't have to be super strict on portions.
Oh, good timing.
That's what I mean. Pizza can be good for you. Good timing.
But what? Then when you were on the tour and playing the games, when were you focused in?
Yeah, well for me a lot more scientific, no, but like a lot more conscious of it when I was a kid, because I was relying on other people providing the food. But I luckily had a pretty good upbringing in terms of that sense, and yeah, my mum still hates any fast food restaurant. She hates fizzy drinks still now, sweets. I never had them when I was a kid, so don't feel like I missed out, if I'm honest. But yeah, when I was on tour, then that sort of bred into just trying to eat the right things. Obviously, we were lucky. Both of us were supported by Federation. England Squash gave us support in many different ways, but one of them was giving us advice on nutrition. Yeah, which always helps. Just doing an occasional workshop, even an hour on a national squad as a kid, you learn what to eat and what not to eat. I mean, burning so many calories, it's not crazy strict, you know. I don't think it has to be, but it just needs to be sensible.
Yeah.
I have a final question. Now you've seen our group of juniors, and you've seen our club. Do you see any hindering for any barriers for one of them, the two of them being world number one?
That's one fact.
Be careful.
That's a rare group, I guess. Look, I mean, I think you've got a lovely setup here, and I think you've got people who care about sport, and quite a lot of you as well, and you've got some juniors. You obviously want to build a. It's hard. I mean, you want to keep building what you've got, and spreading the word, and just getting people. And how you do that is not my forte, and in terms of sending the message out to your community and getting people to come and have squash lessons. But you're already doing the right things, I think, everyone here. Obviously, without seeing it Daryl and I just coming in, we can't see what goes on here in terms of making really high standard squash players, and obviously you're up against it as a nation because it's not got that strength. But I don't see why you can't push towards you're making the standard higher for your juniors, and there's no reason why, as we've talked about, you don't need to have great players. Your standards are pretty good, and even if your standards are hitting a limit, you can if you get a young junior who's coming through and really showing real quality, you know, okay, you might have to look at ways of that junior getting, if he wants to go to world levels, there's a lot that has to come together for that to happen. First of all, the junior himself or herself has to want it, but then there's this support there. Maybe then you can start looking at other ways of training, a bit of travel, European competitions. There's a lot that has to come together. But I feel like you're on the right track. You've created an environment that's fun and sociable, and it has sessions available. So players will come through. I think for you, it's now just finding a way of getting the quality as high as you can. Which is, you know, pushing that standard up, which is hard but not impossible. As you said, Diego's done it. There are lots of players people like Walker has trained for years in his hometown, didn't he? And you know, so it's a complex question to talk about world levels, because it's not something that's done here. So the environment isn't quite there, but there's no reason why you can't push it up, you know, and you don't need to have a world-class coach or loads of world-class players to keep bringing juniors up higher and higher. You know, I don't know what Diego did, but I'm sure someone in Peru at some point had to feed him 3 times a week to get the pressure up.
Yeah.
You know, so there are ways of increasing pressure for if they need more pushing or pressure, whatever the word is. There are ways you can increase that, and you don't need to have amazing players all the time to get the standard up for other players. Whether that's coming out clear or not.
I didn't hear no. That's on you, bro, isn't it?
I'd say it really takes massive commitment.
Yeah.
You know, coaches have to be there every week.
Yeah.
Players have to be there every day, turn up on time, want to be there, commit, focus, concentration, everything. In the court, away from the court. I mean,
How many hours a week did you spend on court?
No, I'm not the best person to ask. Like, do you want to ask James? Because I was never.
I'm asking both of you.
You cannot, yeah.
You had the world standards that he wants.
Yeah, I mean, mine's probably not a good example, though. Is what I'm saying. I should have spent more time. I didn't truly love the sport enough to want to go and play all the time. I enjoyed the competition. I enjoyed going and playing against other people and testing myself, but I didn't stand there and want to hit balls all day. So therefore I didn't spend as much time on court maybe as I needed to, but then I didn't want to. So that's part of the things you have to deal with in terms of different players and characteristics and things like that. But you still, I was still training twice a day, 5-6 days a week.
When you were.
That's more when you're into a pro though, right?
Oh yeah. As a kid?
Yeah, as a kid.
As a kid I was playing 2 or 3 times a week.
So, and when you realized that you wanted to make a career out of the squash, you upped the ante?
Yeah, well, I was 21 when I decided that. So that was when I was going to go pro. So that's when I started playing more.
So, what years, what ages did it change from 2 or 3 times a week to?
Yeah.
It went from 2 or 3 times a week to once a week, from when I was 18 to 21, so I went to university.
Okay.
And I played once a week then. and then it went to full time when I was 21. So that's what I mean. Like everyone's different, right? Like I'm not saying it's not the right way, but
I guess you weren't just playing squash once a week and then doing nothing, lying flat on your back for a week, right?
at unit.
Yeah.
No, I was playing football 6 times a week.
By the way.
So I was playing a different sport, so I was in good shape and I was goodish shape because I was drinking a lot, but I was playing. I was playing another sport as well, I guess, which meant the transition was easier because fitness-wise it didn't take me too long, and I used that fitness to basically try and climb the squash rankings as quick as I could. My squash was very basic for the first 3 years on tour because I was my plan was to get as fit as I could and see how far that would take me because I thought that was the easiest way to get higher up the rankings is just be fitter than your opponent. Which I did, and then you obviously I got to the top 50 in like 18 months, and then you start hitting some proper squash players. I need more than just being able to outrun these guys because I can't keep running. It's looking at how Paul Cole used to play when he was coming up. When he first came up, he was a runner, and he used to pick everything up, and he would get outplayed by the better players. And now you look at his game, and he's improved his squash. So that's what I did. I was just trying to improve my squash then by the end, and it gradually improved all the time. I think. So there's different ways to go about it. James, I think obviously he'll tell you, but he spent a lot of time. He's hit a lot more balls than I have, and that's part of his character that he was motivated to keep doing it. Like the more I played, the more time I spent doing solo, the less I wanted to play squash. It sort of pushed me away from it. Everyone's different.
It just means there's different ways of being a good player.
Absolutely.
And you have to find the way that fits for you.
Absolutely. You look at the Egyptian players now, there's big groups of them all together, pushing each other hard every day. Really competitive, really, and then, we just take Diego as an example of someone else that has come from Peru, trained by his dad and played by himself for a long time. And they can still reach the same level in a completely different way of coming together.
He's #1 now.
Exactly. Yeah. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Pleasure. Pizza, yeah.